Pokémon Horizons just bewildered everyone by dropping the absolute plot twist of the century when Friede finally returned. Because who the heck is this hooded figure? That's not the Friede we know and love. So let's talk about episode 121 in this video. The episode that well and truly gagged the world. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and now let's dive into the review. So the episode begins with our heroes hearing from Friede that his space investigation is complete and that he's now on his way down to him. And that's still so wild to me, I can't believe it actually happened. I mean, Friede in outer space? Who would have ever seen that coming? However, our boy Friede needs help. He needs the Brave Olivine airship to be his own personal landing pad. And thinking about it, Friede really has an insane amount of faith in our heroes right now. It's only by chance that the Ryzen Vault Tacklers got back together and fixed the airship a few months ago. What if they didn't, dude? Friede would have had no help and he probably would have been unalived by the crash landing. So Ludlow teaches our heroes how rocket ships work through one of his old movies that he starred in. A movie where he surfed in space like the Silver Surfer and had to fight angry space sharpedos. Man, that movie sounds peak, I wanna watch it. And I love how Ludlow has starred in a movie of like every genre and every story you could ever imagine. I feel like it would have been good as a recurring gag throughout Horizons. Kind of like a twist on the learning from your elders trope. There could have been so many scenes of Ludlow teaching our heroes different things, but then every time it's revealed that he's teaching them based on one of the old movies that he made. That would have been hilarious, man. So in the most unexpected team-up of the century, Dot and Orla's Metagross use their insane tech whiz and maths whiz skills to predict where Friede is going to crash land. I know Dot is always coming in clutch, but seeing Metagross finally getting his first ever moment to shine properly as the supercomputer it was born to be, that was so awesome, dude. And it kind of makes up for the time that it somehow lost to Zircononia. This pseudo-legendary definitely chose brain over brawn. So our heroes use the big red button in the airship from before the time skip to once again transform the Brave Olivine into the Infinite Rising mode. That allows them to blast ahead full speed to reach the location where Friede is gonna land. And man, there's something really special about the red button that caused Friede's death in Laqua now being the same red button that our heroes are using to save Friede from death. The red button redemption arc was not on my bingo card, but I'll take it. But then suddenly Friede makes contact again. He says his ship is malfunctioning, the parachute isn't working, he's crash landing, dude. And I have to say, the way the episode kept covering his eyes with goggles and then weird shadows, it kind of felt a little ominous, kind of sus to me, you know? So at this point I was genuinely wondering whether all of the theories about Friede being evil, or maybe being brainwashed by Spinel, maybe that could actually be happening. Something just felt off to me, you know? But either way, now it's down to our heroes to save Friede's life, because if they don't, he's gonna be unalived. For real this time. They're all obviously super stressed, trying to figure out how the heck they're going to catch a spaceship, and they begin brainstorming ways to do it in adorable chibi animation form, but every idea ends with Friede's death. We're basically watching a Friede death simulator, but there is no time to think because they look upwards and Friede is already crashing down. All our heroes can do is send out all their Pokemon, with Pagogo forming a huge protect barrier that Hatterene psychically raises into the air, and that barrier does manage to catch the spaceship, but is still crashing down too hard. So all our heroes' Pokemon work together and combine their moves into one big beautiful rainbowy beam, and this manages to slow down the crash landing. Real quick though, I've gotta say, I can't help but laugh that the wild airship Pokemon, you know, the same ones that Friede allowed to live on the airship rent-free for years, they just don't care. They're not here to help. They're probably in the airship sleeping or whatever. I'm sorry, I just find that so funny. But unfortunately, despite the greatest efforts from all of our heroes' Pokemon, the spaceship just slips. It crashes past them down to Earth. Our heroes are utterly horrified in this moment. They're watching Friede fall to his death again, and they're getting flashbacks to how they failed to save him a year ago, and now they've failed again. But Captain Pikachu, on the other hand, he isn't accepting failure, not when his best friend's life is on the line. Captain Pikachu launches forwards, jumping off of the airship in the most emotional way ever. He's trying to catch Friede himself. He launches through the sky, but then even with our heroes screaming, cheering him on, it's just not enough, dude. Cap begins falling to his demise too alongside Friede. He just can't do it alone. So it's a good thing that he's not alone, because in a last-ditch effort, Pogogo uses its power to Terastallize Cap for the first time ever. And dude, I had tears in my eyes at this point. It feels like everything has been building up to this. Cap is revealed as a fly and Terra type, and he glides down like a bird underneath the crashing spaceship. Cap uses all of his strength to push the spaceship upwards through the sky, and that results in the spaceship being caught by the Brave Olivine battlefield barrier that Roy had the genius intuition to activate. First of all, before we talk about the fact that Friede was saved and that he's in the spaceship that our heroes are staring at in anticipation, we've got to talk about what just happened. Our heroes getting the chance to save Friede from such a great fall, and that being how Friede returns. What an incredible way to help them overcome the guilt they had for failing to save Friede from his fall a year ago. That's such a perfect full circle moment. It was so fantastic. And I never expected Captain Pikachu's Terra type reveal to be in such a key pivotal emotional moment too. I can't think of a better way for it to happen than this. I have massive respect for the writers for waiting until now for it to happen, and Cap in general using his passion for flying to save Friede's life, the same passion that brought them both together all those years ago, is so beautifully written. And Cap made his dream come true. He learned how to fly to save Friede. But simultaneously, I really can't help but laugh thinking about the many ways this could have gone so poorly. After all, there's 18 Pokemon types, and Captain Pikachu could have randomly been any of those Terra types. So thank the Lord he just so happened to be a Flying type to save Friede. Imagine if Pogogo Terastallized Cap and he happened to be a Rock Terra type, and he just crashed down into the earth and unalived. It could have gone so tragically, man. So, Orla, Liko, Roy and Dot launch forwards to greet Friede as he exits the spaceship, and they're all overwhelmed with emotions, understandably. But the person who exits the spaceship doesn't look like Friede. We just see a mysterious hooded figure in the smoke. And Orla hugs the figure tightly, bursting into tears, assuming it's Friede. She's crying, telling him how deeply she's missed him, how she's been waiting for him for so long. And at this point, I was like, oh my gosh. The hooded figure, the smoke, the tension, the atmosphere, it's all so ominous. Whoever that is huge. That is not the Friede we know and love, dude. Surely that's a villain. Is Friede actually evil like fans were theorizing? And what on earth did our heroes just unleash by rescuing him? But nah, there's no need to worry, it was all just a jokey gag, because the real Friede is actually in front of Liko, Roy and Dot, hugging them all emotionally. So who the heck is the cloaked figure that Orla is hugging? Bruh, it's a Starmie. A Starmie that also came from the spaceship. But not just a Starmie, it's a Mega Starmie, dude. A Mega Starmie that was pretending to be human in a cloak, hence the confusion. This might be the funniest thing Pokémon Horizons has ever done. Playing on the fears and the theories of Friede being evil, and having a twist of it being Mega Starmie just pretending to be a human. I was laughing so hard, dude. So yeah, the real Friede is revealed, and man, his design is peak. I can't get over how cool he looks, dude, with the hair and the outfit. I think some facial hair would have looked dope too, but I'll take what I can get. Friede is so happy to see everyone again and to see how much Liko, Roy and Dot have grown in the past year, and then he says that Mega Starmie is his new friend. And dude, I was really hoping Friede would catch a new Pokemon in the time skip, so I'm so happy he did. And that Pokemon being Mega Starmie is the icing on the cake. You see, Starmie has always been known as the alien Pokemon from outer space. That has always been in its Pokedex entries, so Friede meeting it and catching it in space makes perfect sense. And plus its Mega Evolution design is literally meant to symbolize the trope of an alien trying to disguise as a humanoid, so it can fit in with humanity and take over mankind. Hence the creepily long human legs. So yeah, Friede meeting Starmie in outer space and all are mistaking it for a human, and using that to build on the fears that fans had that Friede could be evil. It was so well done, dude. And plus, with Mega Starmie being the most massive viral Pokemon meme in years, it really took the internet by storm. I saw so many huge reactions to this online. I wonder if this Starmie comes from the same planet where Laqueum originates from. That could be where Friede found it and why he chose to befriend it. And I also can't help but notice that Starmie is a Pokemon possibly connected to Laqueum with a big rainbowy core crystal gem as its power source. Just like how Terapagos is a Pokemon connected to Laqueum with a big rainbowy core crystal gem as its power source. So I think Starmie and Terapagos could be connected somehow. And so Starmie could play a big part in the battle against Laqueum in the future. I really don't think this is just a jokey gag. Mark my words. And now that Friede has a Charizard, Pikachu and Starmie, I really want him to catch an Onix too. Then he feels like a representation of the OG Anipoke trio. But before Friede can elaborate on anything, Captain Pikachu emotionally Volt Tackles into him. Cap bursts into tears at seeing his partner again in a way that felt very Ash's Pikachu in the first movie, and now I kind of have tears in my eyes too. This was so emotional, man. Cap is finally reunited with his partner. Friede apologizes to Cap for leaving him and he thanks him for everything. Not gonna lie, I am irrationally annoyed that they didn't give us a hug between them after all this time. But anyway, Charizard reunites with the other Pokemon too, and then Friede properly reunites with Orla. They have a heart-to-heart where he apologizes for making her worry and he thanks her for looking after the airship all this time. And come on, bro, can these two just confess their love already? Why are we beating around the bush here? I need the Horizons writers to lock in and make Friede and Orla the next Kukui and Burnett. At least give us a baby Friede by the end of Horizons. So the episode then ended with Friede thanking everyone, and everyone welcomes him back to the crew with a huge group hug. Man, what an episode! An episode that I've already yapped an absurd amount about, so I've got to keep the ending a bit briefer, especially because I go on vacation today, so I need to lock in and get ready for that. So yeah, everything about Friede's return was just phenomenal. From our heroes making up for his last fall by saving him this time, to the twist of Mega Starmie, to the way the writers kept us on the edge of our seats about whether something darker was going on, through the covered eyes and the hooded figure, to everyone having to work together, but in the end Cap and his passion for flying, the same passion that introduced him to Friede, being the one thing to truly save Friede. It was just all perfect storytelling, man. There were so many incredible full circle moments here, and this episode absolutely blew up online. I've seen so many people who never talk about the anime talking about this. From Friede's return, to Captain Pikachu crying, to the Mega Starmie Mimi twist. Look, I don't know if Horizons has the ability to break the internet like Ash did, but this definitely feels like the closest they've gotten since the time skip reveal. And that's so hype, dude. Plus it had a lot of people fighting the tears, so you know it was peak. I can't wait to see Friede explaining everything next week, and for him to meet Alt properly, and to meet all of their new Pokemon and evolutions, and also for the Roy vs Friede battle that was confirmed. It's gonna be such a great one. I do have some criticisms about the way that Friede's absence has been handled in the past 40 episodes. The main one for me being that outside of maybe like the first episode and the incredible Orla episodes, Friede's supposed death really didn't have anywhere near as much emotional fallout or impact as I expected. I think we should have had way more episodes focused on our heroes struggling to overcome their complicated feelings of grief and guilt about Friede, and about his supposed death, how they failed to save him. Especially for Captain Pikachu, man. Captain Pikachu is Friede's closest partner, and yet it felt like he was barely affected by Friede's disappearance. I think if they focused more on the emotional impact and influence that Friede's death had on our heroes in the past 40 episodes, then that would have made Friede's return today hit even harder. It would have made it even more emotional. But regardless, I really can't criticize today's episode. I think they handled it perfectly today. So yeah, overall I have some criticisms of the Friede storyline, but this episode was an absolute banger. Let me know your thoughts on episode 121 in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. We're so close to 150k subscribers, and I'd really appreciate that, man. Thank you to all of my incredible channel members on screen right now. That includes Shiny Charm, Jay, Pokesan, Shareborn, Melissa, Hope, Not Minnie, Juscadia, Fizz. You guys are wonderful, thank you. And yeah, on that note, thank you all so much for watching, and best wishes until we meet again!